number 2 of the Turn 2 Terribles podcast is live. Hope everyone's doing well out there. I got Josh Aaron here with me, with Chris Lynn as well. I'm Jimmy Barr. We are the Turn 2 Terribles podcast. This is episode number 2. We got a lot to talk about this week. There was a lot of stuff going on in the world of racing. We had NASCAR at Martinsville. We had Boots on the Ground with Chris. We're going to go into that a little bit. We also had the World of Outlaws, big win for Jacob Allen, the Jason Johnson Classic. Some stuff going on in the PA dirt scene, the Formula One Australian Grand Prix, a little IndyCar stuff, and also our iRacing leagues. Before we get into, all the racing and everything, Chris, you were there at Martinsville all weekend. How was it? How was your experience there?
Well, it was cold, but outside of the obvious there, it's great. It's the second time I've been there. Such a good facility. We got there mid-evening Friday, and got our tent set up. They just told us where to camp out at and how to avoid kind of the chaos of the campgrounds you get sometimes. We got set up, nice people around us, real helpful, and from there. So we didn't go to the Xfinity race, but we walked around outside. We had our scanners on. We were listening to like the radio scanners from the Xfinity race, and went through like the fan zone area where they have all the merch and everything. Really cool, really nice people. A lot of cool things, except for the wind. At one point, right before the Xfinity race started, we had a wind gust. It was silly. Like
I know at one point you said it was pretty much snowing at one point.
Right, but that was Saturday. So Friday, I mean, we had the tent was buckling, and I was like, I'm glad I anchored it well. And that's when it rained before the Xfinity race. And then so that was cool. No, it kind of stopped, and it wasn't terrible. Once we got warmed up a little bit, but Saturday, the atmosphere was great. Like going on the campground, it's something I learned at the National Open, obviously with you, Jimmy. Like, it's so cool. It's wandering around like Saturday morning, day of a race. The sun's out. There was literally sun was out, not a cloud in the sky, and it was great. And then the clouds rolled in. And it got a little bit colder, and then we go in to get our grandstand seats, and it started raining. I was like, well, this is not ideal. And so we went back to the campsite because the track got shiny. Then it started snowing, and it got cold, really, really cold. That sucks for Martinsville as the speedway, because that's such a cool racetrack, and that was just an unfortunate thing that happens in April sometimes in the Northeast and even them farther south. But the atmosphere as a whole, like even going through the fan zone during the day, obviously we got the hot dogs, and they had the band playing. The band was really good, really entertaining. Great experience, and we actually renewed. We're going back next year. We're going to do it again. So
awesome.
Yeah, can't wait. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I mean, everything you were talking about all weekend, it sounded like a really, really fun time. It just kind of sucked with the weather. I mean, if it was just maybe 5-10 degrees warmer, it probably would have been really,
or
really
even just
fun.
No wind.
Yeah.
I hate wind more than most things. But like, so even it was kind of cool because we were there so early on Saturday. We went through the fan zone just like we did Friday night, and we were up top where like their grand ticket booth is behind the main stadium. And it was unique having like Brielle there. It's her first time seeing like a NASCAR stadium, right? It's a half-mile track, but you look in and this thing is massive, like up in grandstands. It's there, it's cool as hell, all those things. And like we're up top, and I look over and there's Richard Petty. They have a 1973 Dodge down there. They just rolled in that morning. They go, we gotta get back down there and check that thing out. And then I look again, and there's a David Pearson car there. Like this is cool as hell. So there's a lot of on-site activation stuff that was really cool to experience, and it's kind of stuff you get lost in when you don't go to the track. But I mean, their facilities, I liked everything. Like even the campground was one of the cleanest campgrounds that I've been in. They had trucks going around taking care of like porta potty stuff, and that sounds like a small thing, but we witnessed things that were
at Williams Grove for the National Open, man.
We've seen some things. You've seen some things that you cannot unsee.
You were basically in a white wastewater treatment plant at that point, right. Just without the treatment.
We're talking Martinsville, like they A+ on them. Everything was clean. They were really great. That people at the ticket booth were great. It was the only thing I mean, I saw some things that I didn't realize I wanted to do, but I'm definitely going to that. They have that brake pad section right by entry at turn 3. I am going there next year for the Xfinity race because I want to.
Yeah, you took a picture of that. That looked interesting. That was
Right.
that was right next to the track.
Right. So
You
that was
could basically sit there at a table, like almost
had
like if you're a
food.
bar or a restaurant.
It is literally that's exactly what it was.
That's
It
the
was
way to do
literally like a restaurant. They were in there cooking. You had beers going, and they had tables. It wasn't really crowded. It was a nice little area, like a little patio type thing, and you could see the whole track because I was sitting on the other side of chain link fence. I took a picture of it. You could see everything down there. It's like that's more our element, like infield stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't be in the Martinsville infield. It was like
that's definitely our vibe right there. Is the infield.
well, the worst part was
Up
that
close and personal.
26 rows up the top of the grandstands, which is the second highest row, and then it started raining. It's like, come on, man, I'm getting old. I can't be doing this. And it's like, what are you doing here? Then it was cool. We met some cool people, like some people from New Jersey. They big Truex fans. Got some autographs with Truex. I've had a really sweet Martin Truex helmet. That she had, and then even in that rain delay, we found some Pennsylvania guys with a Lance DeWeese fan, people from the Port Royal, Lincoln area. So, cool experience. Like definitely gonna go back. I mean, 5.5 hour drive, but you get past that. Like it's definitely it was already my favorite track I've ever been to on the NASCAR side, and that hasn't changed. The weather's the weather. You can't control that.
Yeah, you can't do anything about that. For sure. I never understood why the night race, and I get that the playoff race already turns into a night race, but just have the playoff race as the night race. It's a little bit warmer than at that time of year, and it's the playoffs. I mean, why not make that a Saturday night race? But it's cool that they're doing it. It looks like a beautiful facility.
Right. I think the night race, though, so they do it. The playoff race is a cutoff race for the championship for, right?
Yep.
So that one's already gonna sell out, and this one didn't sell out, but it was really close. It was a packed grandstand. There was a lot of people there, and it was really cool to see it that full. I'd never been in a place that was that full. Even when I went there in 2013, it wasn't that full. They were just shy of a sellout, and I guess that's why you run the night race in the spring. It kind of builds that. It gives you 2 premier events,
or it keeps people away because it's going to be miserable weather. I mean,
yeah, but I mean,
even if it's not raining and snowing, I mean, at night, you're maybe 45 degrees. It's not really enjoyable.
Here's the incredible bad luck. So we got down there Friday, and the high was 52 with wind. Thursday, it was like mid 60s during the day. Sunday was 65 up to 70 by the time 3 o'clock came.
Right.
So it was incredible bad luck. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
So it's April. You're gonna get that. I get from the trying it. I mean, if I was Martinsville, I don't know. Like, where do you go? Like, you can't move if you move your date. Like, you have Easter coming up. You have, I don't know. It's a weird. You're right. It's a weird time of year to try to do a night race.
They should still be more south right now at this point of the season. And I get maybe we have some heat waves earlier in the year, but like when I saw that Bristol Dirt, which we'll talk about later, it was this early in there. I'm like, it's got to be a little bit later. You should be doing it in May or June to get a good track, and kind of the same thing with Martinsville. But it is what it is. Sometimes it can be 70 degrees during the day, but then when you have these night races, local dirt tracks around here in PA, which we have similar weather, a little bit colder, they're always moving up their times every week. They're trying to get a 6-7 o'clock start time, and they have to move it up because of how cold it gets at night. So
right, and I think
something NASCAR has to think about.
And I think it's interesting. I think what we're learning, and I think we'll touch on a little bit later, like the short tracks are with this new car are hindered more by the cold temps. Mile and a half benefit. I mean, you show the corner speed, but I feel like they benefit when it's cold because they have more grip.
Yeah, they have more grip. They have more horsepower.
Yeah,
I think the whole allure of the short track is the lack of grip and not be able to get the power to the ground, and that's what benefited Martinsville.
They're summertime tracks, man. I mean,
and I'll say this from the grandstands, like, so 2013 is a reference, obviously, whole different car. I was within a section of where I was that time, and that was the fall race. You were watching those guys chase it off the corner, like literally dancing. Even Gordon, he ended up winning the race. Him and Matt Kenseth had the duel for the last 8 laps. They were chasing that car off the corner every lap. I didn't even see a car get loose in the 400 laps they did this weekend, and it's like, dang, that sucks because like the whole draw of Martinsville is like you're fast, boom.
Right. Well, it wasn't like that all weekend, and we're going to get into this here a little bit. Let's start off with the truck series, because the truck series wasn't really like that. It's kind of a tame race. It wasn't too bad. There was a couple things that went on. William Byron got the win in the Spire number 7, sponsored by HendrickCars.com. Seems like Hendrick's given them a lot of backing now. They have Bowman in there last week. Now they have Byron in there. Haley Deegan, she was having a decent run. She was like borderline top 10 car, and she got ran over for 1 by Johnny Sauter right into the wall. Even the commentators on like Michael Waltrip and all them on FS1 were like, Haley did nothing wrong there. She just got ran up into the wall.
Right.
And then got into a pit road confrontation with Lawless Allen, who I never heard of before. And she was very, very upset. I'm glad that she stood up for herself, because she just got ran over out there, and she had a good, strong car, and she was running a smart race, in my opinion, from what I've seen. So I don't know. There wasn't really too much going on there.
I think it's kind of cool. She's kind of more seasoned now, and she's kind of coming into her own. So, she's standing up for herself. That getting into it with Lawless Allen, and then something we'll talk about later, but, kind of going after NASCAR about the races being too long. I mean, she's willing to shake it up, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And she has a target on her back to an extent. 1, maybe because she's a woman driver, but 2, because of where she comes from and how she got there. And as we're going to talk about another person that is kind of like that in the same sense, Ty Gibbs. People don't like when they just get the red carpet out and get into these series. They still got to drive it. They still got to go out there and perform. And Haley Deegan's feeling the pressure a little bit. She's feeling more pressure than that. I mean, she's been talking about getting death threats and stuff like that, which is just not something anybody should have to deal with. Like racing's supposed to be fun. It should never be that serious. She's dealing with a lot of adversity while trying to perform well with not really a top car in the series. I mean, a good car, a good truck, I should say, but not necessarily a top tier team. And there's times where she's running well. She's trying to run a smart race, maybe only like 15th or so, but then something seems to happen to her where she gets caught up in it. I don't see her making crazy mistakes or being over aggressive, or I feel like she's just out there getting her laps in, getting better and better every week. And then as she is getting better, she's not getting the respect from the other drivers and maybe from the fans as well.
Yep.
Right. And I think, but here's what I'll say though. I applaud her whole camp. They're doing the opposite of what we saw. Like Danica, obviously polarizing. Danica can drive a race car. She proved in the IndyCar, right? Sure. And they definitely fast tracked her. And I know the Deegan's made it very clear that they're not going to do that. Like even if you listen to like TJ Majors talking about last year, they're hanging her out there because they don't want her up front. It'd be great if she was, right? But like they want her learning how to race the truck. And I think we're getting to that point where she's got some Xfinity starts coming up, but they're doing it the right way. They're like giving her time to develop as a person and a driver, and not like, hey, you got to win. Like, sure, she's feeling that pressure. Like,
and she's feeling extra pressure than any other driver has to feel. Her being a woman definitely puts some extra pressure on her to perform. And for someone who's 19 years old, I think she's 19.
I think she turns 21 in July, I think.
Whatever. She's a teenager. She started when she was like 18 in NASCAR. Like for her to have to deal with that, that's not what a guy like Johnny Sauter, who put her into the wall, ever had to deal with. You know what I mean? Yep. So there's a lot of guys out there that just never had to deal with it. Yeah, there's pressure on every single driver that's in that series, but she probably has the most. And, the next logical step for her is, all right, after second year in the truck series, you should be going to Xfinity. She's not having the results that she should have, but it's not necessarily her fault, in my opinion. Yeah. So, we'll see what happens with her. But I was happy to see her stand her ground, because she needs to. She needs to say, hey, just, whatever you think about me, I'm going to race you just like any other racer will. And I was happy to see that.
Yep.
And I don't even know who Lawless Allen is. Who the hell is that?
I don't
You know?
know. He's got a really cool name.
Yeah, that
I would
is.
expect him to be a little bit more lawless in that video.
Yeah, I mean, apparently he did, and that's what got her going. So let's go into the Xfinity race, which was a
Martinsville race.
it was a crazy Martinsville race. It felt like a playoff Martinsville race, I think. It did not feel like an April Martinsville race. 16 caution flags, double overtime finish. Ty Gibbs dominated this race. He led almost 200 laps of this race. But Brandon Jones got the victory, who was strong all night. If there was one car that could compete with him all night, it was him.
Yep.
But Ty Gibbs got into a little bit of a post-race fight.
Well, before we even get to that, so I was at the track. What are y'all's thoughts on the 19 car pileup on the front stretch? Like y'all are watching it.
Oof.
Like I was listening to it, and it sounded like
At
a
the
demo
top,
derby.
'cause that was the first overtime, I believe, or it
That's
was
the one where Dale.
it
Jr.
caused overtime
That's where Dale Jr. Gained 12 spots or something like that.
because the caution before that they were restarting from, he wrecked
Josh Berry, right?
Josh Berry. Yeah. One or two cautions before that, which we'll get into Dale Jr. here in a minute. But yeah, the pileup just was. When I saw that Ty Gibbs was fighting Sam Mayer, I did not feel so bad for Sam Mayer because I saw what he did. Granted, he lost it. He tripped over himself a little bit. He caused that 19-car pileup. I mean, he just completely tripped over himself and just took out the field and somehow still stayed up front, and was in a spot to be able to get a win.
Yep.
To be in that spot with Ty Gibbs later on in the race. And just so when I saw that Ty Gibbs was fighting him, I'm like, I mean, he was kind of a weapon all night. So he had a couple other altercations throughout the race. Dale Jr. though, let's talk about him quick because this is his only start of the year. Seemed to be having a lot of fun.
It didn't sound.
He
that
was
way
top 10
there.
most of the night. He was borderline top 10 all night. He was strong for him. He qualified 30th. He was fast in practice. He was, if I believe,
He was seventh when I looked at it last. He was seventh.
he was very fast in practice. Even on the longer run, he wasn't too bad. But he just in qualifying, he just didn't do it. And he started 30th, and he worked his way back up. And by the time he got up there, he ran borderline top 10, if not in the top 10 all night, fighting with his teammates who he owns. And then got into Josh Berry, cut his tire down. What was the vibe around there? Because the idea is Dale Jr. is going to bring out all the fans. Was there more there for the Xfinity race than there was the Cup race?
No, that didn't happen. Like even for us, we went back to our campsite and actually I was in the car sitting whenever the pileup happened, and everyone on our side of the campground was also at their campsite, and even the midway fan zone area was empty. I'm sure he did bring people in, but I don't know how many people were driving there just for the Xfinity race.
Right.
Now there was one camper. I'll say this: when Saturday morning, when I came out of tent, it was like 7:30 in the morning. There was a camper leaving, so they were there for Dale Jr. That was one. I don't know,
but one. That's all you saw.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, it's always going to be interesting when Dale Jr. shows up. It's cool to see him still running out here, as he gets older, and it's always going to be on a short track. And I believe I remember hearing him during the rain delay, because they had a little bit of a rain delay, talk about he could only run on the East Coast. He could only run certain races because that's where the sponsors are from, basically, and he has to run certain areas of the country. So,
well, on top
you won't
of
see
that,
him.
Go ahead, Josh.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
No, so I was thinking too. Obviously, he has concussion stuff. He's only going to run short tracks. I mean, he ran Darlington. He's going to run places that are hard. He wants to stick because he got out of the car because he's had those vicious concussions. He's not gonna go Daytona again. Like, that's insanity. As much
Right.
fun as that would be for
Yeah,
us fans,
his super speedway days are done.
right? And
Yeah.
even like, I think he wants to go to places that are historically peak NASCAR and short tracks. He's the biggest pro short track guy out there. Um, so I mean, why would you, if you're a 45-year-old dude, two kids, doing stuff responsible, why would you fly out to a Las Vegas
Sure.
or whatever? Like,
But even just go to a Charlotte, I think it would be cool to see him at Charlotte.
I mean, yeah, but Charlotte, I would rather him go to Bristol, or like, it's obviously not 20 minutes on the road, but Martinsville, Bristol, they're
Yep.
not terribly far. Like, it makes
Nope.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting to see him out there, and we'll see how long he can do it here.
Sounds
here.
Yeah,
For-
real quick, shout out to Landon Castle, fellow iRacer.
Yes!
iRacer.gg, his
Yep.
career best P2.
Yeah, that was awesome to see. He's been really good in that car all year. He probably has the best opportunity in the best car that he's ever had, Cup or Xfinity. And he benefited from a little bit, but he ran up there all night. I mean, he was probably the best out of all of his teammates. Allmendinger finished third right behind him. He won the $100,000 for the Dash for Cash. But he was definitely the best out of those Colleague cars all night, and was just patient all night. And if something just would have went a little bit different there, where Brandon Jones maybe would have got shoved out of the way, maybe Landon would have got a win. But no, it was that's awesome to see. That's a very good to see. So after the race, which is probably what was all talked about, was Ty Gibbs. After the checkered flag comes out, Ty Gibbs comes and is chasing basically Sam Mayer. Sam Mayer on the last restart chases him up the track a little bit, takes him out of the win. Hard Martinsville racing. It's what you expect from a 16 caution race with double overtime. Ty Gibbs goes after Sam Mayer after a checkered flag, and it hits him a little bit. And then when they get on the pit road, he sticks his nose under him, gets out of the car, and is there to meet Sam as he gets out of the car. Both have their helmets on. They're speaking words to each other. Sam takes his helmet off. Ty doesn't. And words are thrown around, and Ty starts to throw punches without taking his helmet off, which is an important point here. And it got a little out of hand. It got to Sam looked pretty beat up, as somebody would, or who got punched in the face a bunch of times. A crew member, a NASCAR official, had to be taken out on a stretcher because of all the chaos that ensued. People got knocked down. It was announced today that Ty Gibbs was fined $15,000 for using his car as a weapon, basically, not for the fight, but for hitting with his car. Sam has found no fines for him. The big topic of discussion wasn't really the fight, was that the fact that Ty Gibbs kind of started the fight, did not take his helmet off.
No, before we even get to that, like, Josh, last week we were talking about Ty Gibbs running up John Hunter Nemechek,
moving people out of the way, and
right,
what
and
happens when it happens.
Right.
How does he act when it happens?
Yeah, and here we go. Like, literally, he didn't get wrecked. He's done worse to people.
In his defense, he didn't get just moved. He's moved people out of the way from first to second. He got punted back to eighth. He got doored so hard. I think
They were also 3 wide. They were also 3 wide.
Yeah, he finished eighth.
Yeah,
They were 3 wide, and I get you're mad. It's like, but guy, you did the same thing. Sure, he moved Nemechek from first to second. More or less the same kind of move, though. He was gonna kill Nemechek's car if he had to win Richmond.
Yeah.
And we talked about it here. Like, guy, you're gonna drive like that, someone's gonna get back to you. And Martinsville is always gonna be the place where it happens, because there's
nowhere for you to go,
and there's a low chance of it causing an injury, in my opinion. Like, these guys don't want to go out and kill each other or anything like that. So go to Martinsville. You're gonna that's the talking point. Like, this guy, you wrecked Sieg at Vegas. Like, oh, I know you didn't touch him, but you definitely didn't give him the benefit of the doubt. and you definitely made sure you got loose
He's
as
very
hell.
aggressive. He's a young kid that needs to learn that not all of these cars out here have the resources like he does. So his actions have consequences.
Right, and I think it was you, Jimmy. I don't
And they're
know if
usually
it
going to
was,
be in the garage area.
if it was Josh or I mentioned, like, you pointed out that Gibbs, he goes, well, he handled it well. The Ryan Sieg thing's like, yeah, he won those races. What happens when something happens and he doesn't win the race? And
Well, now we
see.
know.
Now we
know a
see
little bit.
he wants to go destroy a car and go punch a MFer in the mouth. Like,
we did talk about how he ran an SRL race with us. He was pretty fast, and then about 25 laps in, he wrecked himself and rage quit. You know, and that's kind of normal for online racing. But we kind of had the idea of what he is in his mind right now, and you know, and I understand his frustration. Like if I was him, if I dominated a race and led 80% of the laps almost, or 75% of the laps, I would be upset too to get moved out like that. But it's Martinsville racing. I mean, go ahead, say something to him. I have a little bit of a problem with him hitting his car after checkered and on pit road.
yeah, he's not
doing damage to a car. All you're doing is nullifying all the work that your crew did and making them do more work. I had no problem with him going up to Sam after.
Right. I have no problem with Sam Mayer calling him a jackass right to his face.
But I think if Ty's going to do that, you take off your helmet.
Yeah, take off your helmet.
You have that conversation face to face. Sam had no problem doing that. In Ty's defense, a little bit, you know, I don't think he expected it to get that way. He was kind of reaching for his helmet, and then Sam said whatever to trigger him, and he went after him. But you take off your helmet first. I don't care how triggered you are. You take off that helmet, and then you fight him.
Josh, I don't know your point.
Reminded me of like if you watch the videos of like Hasbulla and his buddies, because they're in between like all these tire changers and jackmen, and both of them are pretty tiny. And then you just see a swarm, and there's two little guys in the middle of them fighting.
Yeah, it was just a swarm of people there then that got involved, and Sam got interviewed after he had a big cut on his eyelid. You know, Ty Gibbs I think was interviewed, and then he was like the first thing he did was thank his Lord and Savior, and it's like, you can't give us the Lord and Savior bullshit after you did all that. I'm sorry.
Like, even to like what you said, like, oh, well, he wants to go have a conversation. He didn't think it was going to go that way. It's like, well, why would it not go that way? You go
exactly.
challenge a dude,
you're going
take
there
your
to talk
freaking
to
helmet
him
off
to give him
like,
your mind, and sometimes a piece of your mind is a fist to the face.
Right, and not to mention they've had so many run-ins. They're the same age. Like it's the same thing. So like, you know, like, come on. Like, what did you expect? A dude, you've wrecked how many dudes? You've roughed him up. He roughed you up a little bit, and you're gonna throw a temper tantrum? Like, I don't know. Chaos.
I'm ready for it next year.
Josh Aaron is chaos. Check mark. Let's go. Like Ty Gibbs.
He's a very fast kid who needs to learn a little bit, but
I think the key is kid. He's a kid.
He's
a 19-year-old
kid. Sure, that's what I mean. But the thing is he also fought another kid in Sam.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying.
Who did a stupid thing as well as by taking him out, but you can't really.
He also did a stupid thing of taking his helmet off.
Yeah, that's true. And he was man enough to take his helmet off. I'll give him.
But like, oh, he's stupid for it. The other guy leaves his helmet on, and he's coming at you, and you probably leave yours on too. Like, I don't know. They're kids. Like that's the point of the Xfinity series, right? Like, you go in there, and at 19 years old, any of the three of us make great decisions. No. We made a lot of not great decisions, right?
I still don't make the great decisions.
Exactly, and here we are. Like, so
I think that thing head first with my helmet on.
And like, if you're Ty Gibbs, like, he's a good driver. Like, there's no disputing that.
Yeah.
And this is gonna keep happening. Him bumping people bumping him, because this is a vicious cycle, right? Like, look at Kyle Busch, look at Brad Keselowski, look at Tony Stewart. Like, he's an aggressive guy. He's just got to handle it better whenever it happens to him. If he's going to dish it out, you gotta take it.
Yeah,
they just need to fast track him to Cup. As soon as he's fast tracked to Cup, it'll get handled.
Can you
he's
imagine
definitely going to have a ride somewhere next year. One of those.
Oh, when Kyle Busch just punches him in the face, like, that'd be crazy. But that's again, that'd be nuts.
Yeah,
I'm here for that check mark.
For me, one of the Busch brothers or Hamlin or Truex are going to retire next year. I don't see all of them coming back next year after this next year and stuff. And, you know, that's going to open up a ride for Ty. And, you know, honestly, say what you want about him. Kid is fast as shit, and he deserves it. I mean, there's not many drivers that have come through in the past 20, 30 years that have done what he did. Like, he won his like second or third race out in Xfinity. He could even race every single one. Huh?
I think he won his first one.
It might have been. It was that quick. I mean, he's just been so dominant. Like, he might win 10 races this year in the Xfinity Series and just walk away with the championship. Basically, he's been that good. He didn't win this one, but he dominated that race. I mean, he was just ridiculous.
Well,
cautions are the ones that cautions are what kept him from winning.
Yeah, Josh, what you got?
I was gonna say Chris's insider information from his sources says they're all retiring.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Like, you know, Jimmy, between me, you, and Jimmy Zarfos, we get those insider stuff from the infield or the campground. I mean, I heard it.
That's where you get all the inside information. That's where you get
this guy.
The TMZ style information in the race.
He told me he knows the Truex is. Martin's done end of the year. Harvick's done. Hamlin's done, and Busch is done. Confirmed.
All the old guys are retired. All of them at once.
That's what this guy told me, and he was, I think, sober-ish. Like, you know, the campground people. I mean, they're a little bit different. He was a cool dude, though. Don't get me wrong. He backed a lot of it up, but like,
just like Logan Wagner's going to NASCAR.
But that guy was actually drunk. So, like, there's a difference. This guy was like maybe a little drunk, but he had enough facts that made too much sense for me to like ignore it. The Logan Wagner, the NASCAR, that guy was drunk. He made us look sober, and we were pretty drunk. So there's that. To Josh's point, go to the campgrounds, people, and get the insider stuff. The fans know everything.
It's a different breed of people, that's for sure.
They know more than anyone.
They have all the insider information.
They literally own NASCAR, in their opinion.
So going into the Cup side, the race that you got to saw, and I'm sorry because you probably saw the worst race of the weekend. The Cup race.
Worst race of the year so far.
For sure. For Cup side, I mean, probably out of all three series.
Yep.
Definitely the worst race of the year. Not the car, not Cup's fault. I think it was because of cold temperatures, the rain that washed everything away, and just everybody trying to figure out the car maybe and pads.
And I think too. So I'll say this: like, so you both watched the broadcast. I obviously didn't. I was there. There were things happening that were interesting. Like I mean, watching Bubba Wallace fend off Chase Elliott for a while. Him and Eric Jones ran it forever. There was battles. I mean, it wasn't your Martinsville race where like there's a few times that guys would stack up, pound it. They would straight up pack somebody. You see them lock up and then drive off. Like, well, that's unusual. And they go back to 2013. They do that, and the car's sitting backwards in the fence. Like, well,
right,
you should have braked there, bud. Like, so like, I don't know. Like the race.
I think it was bad enough in NASCAR's view that they've instantly already scheduled a tire test at Martinsville.
Yeah, they did
before the next race.
Like,
I don't think
Scanner. The at one point, I don't know who Scanner was. So I had it on all scan, just trying to stay, entertained. And someone goes, "These guys are trying to wreck so hard, and they're not able to do it." Like when they're hitting people, like I'm watching them hit someone and they think, "Oh, they're gonna wreck," and then they locks it up and just drives away. Like it was crazy.
I think what happened was one thing that didn't help was that it rained and it washed away any rubber that happened all weekend.
And it got so cold.
Martinsville is always a bottom dominant track. Don't get me wrong, but when there's rubber built up over the weekend, usually you could have two grooves. You could hang on that outside groove, you could drive it right, and you could really drive somebody hard. You could not do that on Saturday night. No way. If you got to the outside, it was like Daytona, like when you get hung out to dry in a drafting race. You just lost spots until you could get back in line, and that's part of Martinsville, but what you usually can get a second groove up there, and that was non-existent. And maybe it's part of the tires, but I think it was more because of the cold temperatures, not being able to burn that rubber off, and all the rubber that was there probably being washed away. There's no second groove there, so they had to work it in.
Well, and what I will say too is, last year these cars can finally beat and bang a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times have short track races had cautions because cars barely touched and cut tires? You don't
That's
have that
true.
anymore.
Yeah. Now you can push each other out of the way with little consequences other than the guy's going to come back at you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even still, like you look at so Joe Logano on that final restart, he going to 3. We were watching, like, it's gonna happen, and he sent it down in there. But him being a veteran now didn't go far enough to go send Roland Byron into the grandstands, like we saw like Chastain do, and maybe that's what you have to do. But you've seen it all throughout tonight. Guys would like drive in there and they would like touching bumpers all through the corner, and the car in front wouldn't even move. Like it would be like, all right, cool, thanks for your bump draft at Martinsville.
I think that's too, that's a factor of independent rear suspension. They're used to being able to tap people and move them. And, Ross Chastain's probably figured it out before anybody. You got to move them a little bit harder.
Yeah.
You got to give them the old plow.
Put the plows down, bud.
And while you're plowing them, turn the wheel. I think Josh, you're spot on there. Like you can't just give a little nudge. The car's got so much grip. You got to do a little more than a nudge. You gotta make sure that they know you're hitting them.
So basically, with this race, Chase Elliott, he just checked out in the beginning. Started on pole. Some pitch struggles, some pitch strategy calls, put him back behind the field and just couldn't make it all up. William Byron ended up dominating the last half of the race and got the win, 2 out of 3 for the weekend. Great weekend for William. Good to see. But Chase Elliott fans, I know, are very, very frustrated with the way that race went. He had the most dominant car. Once he had the track position, he was just killing them. And some different and that was kind of cool to see with a little bit with Martinsville. There's some pitch strategy that happened, but it really backfired on him, and he lost a lot of positions. He ended up still finishing 10th, but far cry from what they were trying to get there. He definitely had the winning car.
So Chris, at the track, what did you think about that last caution?
Oh, dude, he pounded the fence right in front of us. Like it went in, and I saw him go high. I don't know if he lost brakes or a tire. He went straight. He hit it hard. It had to be a caution. Like he literally hit it hard. I mean, to be honest, I was like, shit, this race is gonna be longer. Like I was like, please stay green. But like, I mean, you had to have a caution there. He went, in my opinion, he hit a ton for like Martinsville.
TV on the broadcast, I was like, that's NASCAR trying to save this race because he hit the wall, and
there was parts flying.
He was back going, and I was like, that's them trying to save this
He
race.
hit it hard.
Yeah. He hit it hard. Like it was actually right in front of us because we were row 26 in the Bill France section, so we were just past center of 3 and 4. So where he hit was just to my left, and you saw him going. Literally tried everything and just went straight, bang, hit the fence. And I don't know that you guys know what happened. I thought I saw brake rotor. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
he went in. He looked like he went in just way too hot and completely locked it up.
No, it went straight. They
threw the caution quick. They threw the caution quick, but it deserved to be a caution.
I think there was definitely debris down. Like from like on the track, there was definitely parts flying before he even hit it, and he hit it pretty good. Obviously they're not cartoon cars, so like when they hit like that, you kind of have to throw the caution.
Right.
I mean, being there, I was so cold. I'm like, oh, make it end. And then when they're like, oh, we're going to overtime, I was like, this is gonna go longer. I'm so glad they got the white flag. I'm like, this is over, and that sucks to say because like it's such a cool race to be at, and there's so many cool things. It was so cold, but I mean, he hit it a ton, in my opinion, right in front of me. It was worthy of a caution being there live.
William Byron goes on to lead 212 laps, wins the race. Joey Logano second. Austin Dillon with third. Austin Dillon's been sneaky consistent.
That's what I was going to say. Austin Dillon this year, I'm not a fan of Austin Dillon. Never have been. I don't know why, but I just don't like him. But he's just consistent. I mean, they've got. He started showing
some of this consistency. I think the past 2 years, even before the next gen car, where he's been a playoff driver because he's there. You know, he's not winning races necessarily, but he's a borderline top 10 guy. Now he's like a top 5 guy almost certain weeks. And he proved it here with finishing third. You had Blaney with another top 10.
Chastain, fifth.
Yeah.
And Kurt Busch was up there all day long, dude.
Yeah, like, Kurt Busch was doing well for Team 2311, highest finishing Toyota, right in front of his brother Kyle. And then you had Eric Almirola, who had a strong race, a little bit up and down. He had a strong starting position. Probably would have expected maybe a little bit more out of that, but
he got shuffled out at one point.
He was
I was watching that, Pat. Go ahead, Josh.
I was saying he's restarted 2 on the outside at one point, and he was the one that got stuck on the outside and went back like 12 spots or something before he could get in line. And it was kind of late when that happened.
Right. There were things. I was like, Bubba Wallace was up there early, and even watching him, so he was the leaders, stage 1 or 2, one of them. Chase Elliott and William Byron caught right up at the back of him, and when they did, Bubba, I don't know if Freddie Kraft told him to step on it. He started passing cars and getting cars between him and the leader, and he never lost a lap in that whole sequence. And to the point, like stage 2, he was right with Eric Jones, and he couldn't find a way around him. And it sucks because Eric Jones was definitely holding him up. Eric Jones was having a good run too. We're talking right around the top 10. That was actually what I spent most of the race watching. That little group with Bubba Wallace, Eric Jones. You would see them, and they were fighting hard with each other. The leaders would catch them, and they couldn't do anything with them. But you could tell the front, like Martinsville, when the front car is slower. There's a big gap there, just kind of like old Bristol was, and you would see it, and it's interesting because Kurt Busch he could have done more. Like he was right on. Ryan Blaney also was right there too. Like there was some cars that if they could have got a little bit different of a track surface, would have made some noise, made this race top notch. Because I don't think that they were any slower than the Hendrick cars, but at least on the eye test, it's just the track, the way it worked out, just didn't go that way.
Yeah, it was definitely a strange race.
Green flag pit stops at Martinsville, though. I was telling Brielle this. I was like, I can count on one hand how many times I've seen green flag pit stops at Martinsville. It was so cool. Watch these guys haul ass down the backstretch, boom, into the pits, and whoa, okay.
Well, that's
pitting
2 weeks in a row of short tracks with green flag pit stops.
Yeah, for sure.
And you see the mistakes. I mean, what? Larson got speeding penalty. Truex, I don't know what happened to him. He came out and got a flat tire right in front of us. I'm like, his tire's flat, and he went back and pit again, kind of ruined his race. Denny Hamlin, you all know me.
Yeah.
Watching him not get his free pass at the end of stage 1 made me a little warmer inside. So,
rounding out the top 10 was Chase Briscoe, and Chase Elliott, like I said, in 10th. Not really. He led 185 laps, but bummer for him. After all the race weekend stuff settled down, Haley Deegan went to, actually during the Cup race, and you kind of alluded to this, Chris, a little bit, just because you're a fan in the stands that was in below freezing temperatures almost.
That's the only reason. About
calling for shorter races. And I think we've seen a little bit of a trend with, Martinsville was obviously cut down by 100 laps. And
I'm mad about it.
Sure, but I mean, we didn't need to sit through any more of that, to be honest. And
in the grandstand,
she went on the Twitter and was
on the old
races and got a lot of backlash from it. And I wanted to see how you guys felt about it.
Did you all like the Clash?
I did. I enjoyed it, but not as an every week thing.
Here, I'll just say, if I was the king of NASCAR, this is what I would do with Martinsville, some of these short tracks. I would cut the race in about half. I'd like to see them do it in a heat format like the Clash. The extra time that they take out of the race, they need to build up the production of it.
Yeah.
They need to make this shit like WWE. And I'm not a wrestling fan, but go 10 times over the board on driver intros and stuff like that. I mean, they could do a lot to make it more interesting than just racing to build up to the heat races.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throw some stuff in between them. Throw some stuff in between the heat races.
100%. I always thought that a heat race, when they were talking about doing stage racing like they are now, just cut the main race down and do some heat races. That's basically what you're doing with stage races to an extent. I mean, you're just having everybody out there, but all you are is jockeying for position for that last stage. You just do it with doing heat races and then having a 150, 200 lap feature or whatever, and
there was so many people that were saying the Clash was going to be a joke and how what a terrible idea it was, and I
Clash was
guarantee
fun.
90% of people would take that over this anytime.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Especially after the way that was, something to give them some urgency. And I do think the stages give them urgency. And, it's still NASCAR. We still want endurance racing. We still want pit strategy to come into play. But you can still do that with shorter races. But especially if you do heat races, but even if you don't, you can still do that with shorter races. You can manipulate a lot. F1 does the same thing. They never have to stop for fuel. It's all about tire strategy. You do, and their races are done within 2 hours because they time it that way. So there's no reason why NASCAR can't do the same to capture the attention span of a younger audience.
Well, here's my take, and this is definitely unpopular, and not only in here but everywhere. So I'm, God bless, traditionalist, right? I go to sprint car races, dirt stuff, love it, right? But with NASCAR, it was different. I would say get rid of the stages. I would get rid of the dang stages, or don't throw cautions for it. Do whatever, but just let the race play out so the strategy comes into it. A 400 lap margin race, yes, it benefited me that sorry. So fucking Jimmy. So let it play out, right? They don't have the damn stage cautions and things like that. Let the strategy is cool. And that's what makes it different. Like F1, you have the dang hour and a half thing. That's great. But those, I don't know, they don't do the fuel because of safety reasons. But NASCAR was built on longer races. And now I don't know that we need 500 miles to do anything, but like you need to do, it can't be a 250 lap race. Like it can't be that way at Martin.
But why can't it?
Because it's not going to change the urgency. It's not.
What if you did a 50 lap heat race before?
But then you're basically taking dirt racing and applying to NASCAR. They're two different things.
Don't think about dirt racing. Think of it as a format.
Right. But you're taking it.
How is that any different from
you're
taking a 200 lap race and doing a 50 lap segment, another 50 lap segment, and 100 laps?
What I'm saying is get rid of the segments. Just run.
So now you're trying to go way back.
I'm trying to go back to normalcy. Like I want my things separate. Like
you still have all the same pit strategy that you had before. If anything, you have more strategy. No, listen, you have more strategy play because people can pit and backwards do it with the stages.
But you have less tire management, and that's a different conversation.
I think different tires. I think you have the same because you can strategize your track position
if you know when a caution's coming.
Exactly.
That is much different than you running a strategy and hoping a caution doesn't come.
Yeah, but if you run 300 laps caution free, you're just setting yourself.
If that race this weekend would have been like that,
it
would have been like when Ashton Crowder shows up to NSRL. Chase Elliott
would have been you would have been lapping up to about 5th place, and it would be no fun for anybody.
That's one example. I'm saying is if you have a 500 lap race and you don't know when a caution is coming, sure, you could short pit and get those tires. If you do it now, the way under the current format, you could pit. So what the stage was lap 100, and I don't even know the stages because I was at the track, wasn't paying attention. I couldn't see it because they have a jumbotron, not a pylon. But I couldn't see it. It was stupid. I'm over it. But if you know there's a caution coming at say lap 90. You could play a strategy knowing if it goes wrong, you're still getting a caution that could save you, whether it be wave around, free pass, whatever. And sure, that adds in strategy. But at the same time, if you don't know there's going to be a caution, if you literally run 300 laps and you running a strategy and you short pit at Martinsville and there's no saving grace, that's ballsy as hell. Will it work out? Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, it's an element. Like, what makes sprint car racing special is it's a sprint race.
Right.
With NASCAR, it's an endurance race. As they, so
But
in my
still,
opinion,
you still got the endurance. You still got the pitch strategy, even with the stage racing. Yeah, you know when a caution's coming out, but you still get the same type of strategy. I just think it makes it more exciting and keeps people on the lead lap.
Right.
It doesn't string out the field so
But
much.
they
also-
could even get creative with it and make them run smaller fuel cells at Martinsville. Run a
You could do
50
that.
lap.
You could.
Run a 50 lap.
They could do a
heat
lot of
that
things to manipulate
requires
it.
a caution, you know.
Absolutely.
But the thing is like Martinsville, it's a double date. You've got it. You're going back to Martinsville to race the regular Martinsville at Halloween. They can play with these.
Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, and that's funny, Danny. I was thinking, like, for me, as far as shorter races, I'm sitting there. Like, if say I wasn't at the track, sure, that race wasn't ball banger. That makes me want it to be longer and wait for something crazy to happen. But
you've had
I'm
some
a
crazy
psycho
happen
like that.
anyway.
Like, not in that Martinsville race.
They still had what? They had a restart with like 15 to go.
Yeah, nothing happened.
No, but you don't need that to happen. I mean,
Right. I don't want it to be manufactured. I want
But
it to
the
just play
argument
out.
you're making about keeping it pure and keeping it 500 miles is the same argument that people make about not having it a caution fest. You know, it's the same thing. You're just waiting for, why not give them the urgency to make something happen?
I don't know. I'm going longer races. Coke 600, phenomenal. Daytona
I don't think
500,
we need
phenomenal.
I don't think we need 4-hour races. I used to go
Martinsville,
Dover.
500 laps, phenomenal.
I used to go to Dover when it was 500 miles.
Yeah, that's
500
too
laps.
far.
That's too much, and they cut it
Right.
down to 400, and it's still long. I think 3 hours max is what it needs to be. And the thing is because we do have the stage breaks.
That
It adds
extends the
extra
race.
time.
though. I'm
It
saying is
extends
if
the
we
race.
don't have those, you don't even run long.
No, shorten the race. Just shorten laps off.
And also do is have them sell more ads more often, so you watch more commercials. Like,
Well,
the
I mean,
broadcast
what do you
side.
think pays for it to get on TV? You know what I mean? It's part of it. I don't know.
right now, I'm fine with the ads. I'm saying is when you shorten the race, now the ad. Like, so, for example, for whatever, I actually drove more miles to Martinsville than they raced in the Cup race, and that's whatever. That's how it goes. But like, the
A
point
half
is,
mile track. That's not hard to do.
hey. So like if we're talking like ad space wise, I mean, from what I read, the broadcast was that commercial 50% of the time. Now again, that's Twitter, so it's like equal to that drunk dude at the Port Royal infield. But like, still, like, you shorten the races, they still got to make that money, so they're still gonna have more ads on the broadcast side, and whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm pro longer races. I ain't budging. Fuck off. Like, I'm saying, like, it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
I got you. I mean,
I'm a
there's just
traditionalist.
pros and cons to both sides of the argument, and it definitely it's something that comes up every once in a while. And Haley brought it up, and I think Martinsville was a perfect case for that fact that they shortened the race, and it still was boring. So
Right, and I think it's
It is
just a
what it
bad
is.
example of them having a bad race. Like, if
Yeah,
Martinsville's
that's short.
fender banging and everything else, like,
most
oh,
race
more
fans,
of it.
I know that. I think we all know that here. Most race fans know the track conditions and everything wasn't perfect for them to put on a great show. It wasn't because of the racing, but I do think that you want to try to keep it at around 3 hours. You know, that's about as much as you want to go. 3.5 hours. Start getting the 4 hour range. It's a little much.
Let's be fair. We can't drink enough beer in 3 hours. I rest my case.
So that takes care of NASCAR this week. What we want to do right now is give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Jeremy Zarfos Photography. And we're going to go into the photo of the week here. And what we have here is Dylan Norris going into the turn at Lincoln Speedway this past Saturday. Sick ass picture. Jeremy doing top-notch work. Fantastic job. He's at the tracks here in PA every week, doing great work. If you want to find pictures like this and more, you can head on over to turn2terribles.com. Go over to our partners, and you can see Jeremy Zarfos's smug mug. his website with all of his photos. He does a fantastic job. It's all there for free. Go check it out. Just awesome job. You could go there and check out the rest of our partners. You have obviously Jeremy, NSRL Series, iRacing Pennsylvania Posse Series, and RGI Media with the Final Corner podcast. All those guys support us. You could also go to turn2terribles.com. You could find all of our social media, our Instagram, our YouTube page, our Twitter, our Facebook. More to come. We're working on getting this out in audio form as well and getting it all over the place. So work in progress. Anything you want to find out about us here at the Turn 2 Terribles, you go to turn2terribles.com. All right, so World of Outlaws this week. Jason Johnson Classic at Lake Ozark Speedway. They were supposed to go to US 36 Speedway on Friday night. Got canceled because of cold conditions. But for Saturday night, World of Outlaws, Jason Johnson Classic, Lake Ozark Speedway. Jacob Allen, quick time, won his heat, won the dash. Hell of a race, hell of a battle with Brady Bacon, who's not someone he runs wing sprint cars, but not as often. He did double duty with the Extreme Outlaw Series that night. So he did the wing and the wingless, and he was very fast all night along with Jacob. And it turned into a rubber down race about halfway through. The bottom was hooked up. Rubber was being thrown down. And Jacob, with about a couple laps to go, gave him the chrome horn that you can't normally do on sprint cars, but moved Brady out of the way and got the win. And Brady ended up cutting a tire coming to the white flag. Great sportsmanship by him. Could have stopped on the track and, brought out a yellow, but chose not to, kept going. And everybody, I don't think there was one upset person about Jacob Allen winning that race. That was a well-earned, a night where he just dominated all night. He's been very fast all year. He's been quick timing in hot laps and qualifying. He's been very, very fast all night. Just hasn't been able to get the luck to stay up front all night. And rubber down race helped him a little bit, but he ran it very smart and did a very good job. And it was really cool to see him win. I don't know if any of you guys saw any of the highlights, but it was a fantastic race. It really, really was.
I mean, I watched the highlights. It's awesome. Obviously, Jacob Allen. It's always cool seeing him win. He's so emotional, so excited.
Yeah.
I'm for it every time.
Spencer Basin finished second. David Gravel finished third. They were changing rear tires on those cars when they were in there getting their interviews because they were just popping left and right. I got to give a shout out to Brock Zierfoss. That's my guy right there on the Outlaw Tour. Finished in sixth. He had a strong night. He qualified very well. Won his heat race. Didn't draw so great in dash. Still got a sixth place finish. Hard charger for the night was Rico Abreu. They had 34 or 35 cars there. So it was a good turnout.
Brett Marks finishes eighth.
Brett Marks with an eighth place finish.
So throw shade at Kevin Swindell. That's Posse 1, 2, 3 plus Zarfos. Yes, Zarfos is there too. So Zarfos is there too. And then Brett Marks, yeah, take that. 300 wins.
Jeremy Zarfos with an eighth place finish. No. But I mean, you had a lot of outsiders there too. You had Aaron Reisler, you had Brian Brownie, Tyler Courtney. That's where a lot of them were. And like I said, Brady Bacon, who ran first or second most of the race, he ended up finishing 17th, but good run by him. It was a very, very entertaining race, even though it was a rubber race, which sometimes sucks. But as a fan, I enjoyed it. And there was nobody in that pit area that was upset to see Jacob Allen win, and it was very well deserved. Like I said, the Extreme Outlaw Series, which is World Racing Groups who owns World of Outlaws, their wingless series to try to compete with USAC. They ran double duty that night. CJ Leary got the win over Robert Ballou. Pretty exciting race. It was right before that. Probably helped rubber up the track. There's a lot of tire issues going on. But it was decent. There was a lot of cars there too. There's about 35 cars or so there for that. So that was interesting. Here back in PA, dirt-wise, and this kind of ties in with a little bit of NASCAR. Buddy Kofoid won $6,900 at Lincoln Speedway on Saturday night in a stacked field. a lot of outsiders came in because all around was not racing, and you had some people from Ohio and some all-stars come in and run that race that night. Got the win, past Danny Dietrich, who was leading that race early. He is about to make his NASCAR Truck Series debut at Bristol in a Kyle Busch truck. Big ride right there. That's going to be interesting to see. So it's pretty cool to see him get a win at Lincoln. He's been coming to PA all season long. He's been running Lincoln almost weekly, and or Port Royal, and also Williams Grove. He's been here almost all season in that 71 car. So it was really cool he's been running very, very strong. It was very cool to see him, in my opinion, to go get a win in a pretty big race. It was basically their spring championship.
So Buddy Kofoid, he's gonna be the truck at Bristol.
Yes,
That's
cool.
He's
gonna be running one of the Kyle Busch's trucks at Bristol. Yeah, so he's been running here at Lincoln since the Icebreaker. He was there at the Icebreaker, and he's been running here for a month and a half now. And when he's not racing midgets, which hasn't happened very much here. He was supposed to be the Keith Kunz Motorsports wingless driver for USAC, but they pulled out. So they actually ran the Extreme Outlaw Series with Jason McDougal. So Buddy, I think, is probably focusing a little bit more on the NASCAR stuff now, and it's a very good opportunity for him with the Truck Series and see what happens there. He's a good dirt driver. He's only like 18, 19 years old. He's a young kid.
Right. Did he have? Never mind. Disregard. I think of Gio Selzy. Continue on.
So as far as you guys being dirt, being more dirt guys than me, how do you all feel about when NASCAR trucks go to dirt? And then these teams, to me as an outsider, like the thing about dirt is NASCAR trucks aren't supposed to run on dirt. So let's just do it to see what happens. I don't like when they bring in the dirt ringers, because I want to see the guys that aren't supposed to run on dirt drive the trucks that aren't supposed to run on dirt.
To me, it's the same thing, though, as road courses. They used to bring road course ringers. Yeah. And now you have the dirt side of it, and I think it helps both sides.
And it gives these guys a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. The dirt is a great equalizer. I mean, the last person I expected to win the Cup race last year was Joey Logano. But, I mean, he earned some respect in my book. I mean, that dude went down to Volusia earlier that year, just came from the back of the pack and dominated the modified race. Granted, it's a modified race, but still, I mean, for a guy who's not really known for running dirt, he really adapted to it quick. And it's to me, and I think Chris would agree. I mean, that's one reason why I love Kyle Larson so much, and some of these other guys, is that if you can run dirt and asphalt, you're a driver, man. Like you're not a one-trick pony. You know how to wheel a vehicle, a fast one.
Right.
To put it simply, and being PA guy, yeah, I want to see PA Posse win every time. I want to see him go out and kick the ass of any outsider coming in. But it's still cool to see the outsiders coming in, because they know PA is one of the best spots to come.
They're coming in for the
and get that experience and the one of the best places to win in general.
Right, and piggybacking off of that. It's weird because like a Buddy Kofoid or anyone, we know the sprint car guys, right? Dirt racing is dirt racing, right? The track changes, all those things, but they're sprint car guys, whether it be winged, midgets, wingless, whatever. Yeah. And a truck drives so differently. And I use the example of Scott Bloomquist when he raced at Eldora in the Truck Series, and they decided that puppy roll like a late model. That shit didn't work, right? No. And Scott Bloomquist is probably one of the top 3 late model drivers in the history.
All time.
Right. So
is that the alien guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think.
So what is the who?
The alien guy. He's always got like a UFO on his car.
Yeah, that sounds somewhat right. But
yeah, he usually has the skull in the 0 in his number.
Yeah. So it sounds close enough.
We're not late model guys here, so
yeah. That's a Smeel question. Or an Alex Robinson,
or Alex Robinson.
Like he went and he had whole body roll thing and genius idea, except it didn't work in the truck, and he was dog shit. but what sucks because he's a really good driver. And you look at like guys like Larson, and I guess it's about and something maybe I'm a little naive on the asphalt side is how much a lane changes in an asphalt race, right? And these dirt guys, you visually see a race change, and I think Buddy Kofoid, I don't know if he's going to win or not, but he's going to surprise some people for
I think
sure.
so.
And like Larson doing his thing, he's seeing lanes change. Like it's those two things go together. Like if
Yeah.
you can see a track change on dirt,
You got to be able to adapt throughout a race. It's not like there's very few asphalt tracks, especially in NASCAR, where it's like the lane is different constantly. You know what I mean? Like it changes throughout the race that much.
right?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes if you're like it's more to tire wear, like if the
Right.
top or the bottom's going to be fast. But I mean,
And it's not
there's very
as
few
rock.
tracks that are and there's very few tracks that are like that. But the thing is that with dirt, it's all depends on how you're driving it and how the prep is. You could have it could be bottom dominant in the beginning, it could be top dominant in the middle, and then it could be a cut down diamond line. Like the line
Right.
could change drastically
Well, and
throughout a race.
this is a little different too because it's not one of the, a lot of times even on road courses you see the smaller teams going out and getting a guy to come drive for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
they come in and they're going to drive and not the best equipment on the track. I mean he's got a
But
good
the driver's going to
opportunity.
make it that extra.
He's coming in to drive and he's got the best equipment and probably the best team that's going to
It's
be
true.
out there. So it's
Absolutely.
really good opportunity.
Absolutely. That's a good point because it's not like he's just going to a smaller team. He's going to a premier team in the truck series. And we saw some of the smaller teams last year in the Cup series. They got Chris Wyndham. They got, I believe, Justin Grant also ran in the Cup series, and they ended up getting taken out in an unfortunate wreck. But they weren't very fast either. The truck series, it's a little bit different. It's a little more even. But to get into a Kyle Busch Motorsports truck, you have a shot to win. You have a shot to win, even if it's your first time in that truck.
And that's big. That's big.
Yeah.
Like wherever his career goes from here, that's big.
Yep.
If he wants to go dirt, he's gonna have unlimited offers on the dirt side.
Yes.
He wants to go asphalt. He does well in this truck. He's surely gonna get limited truck starts on asphalt. He does well on those. Boom. That's good for him. I hope he does well.
And if not, there's another truck race at Knoxville.
Right.
Exactly. So
Exactly.
he probably will get that ride as well. He's a Toyota driver, so that helps. We'll see. I mean, it's. I'm excited for him. He's been a fast kid. He's a midget champion. I think he won. Did he win the sprint car championship last year? I'm not sure in USAC, but he's been very fast. Whatever he gets into, and it was cool to see him win at Lincoln. Even though I'm a PA guy, I'd rather see a PA guy win it. It was.
Unless his name is Danny.
It was better than seeing Danny.
Right.
that
guy.
Moving on to Port Royal real quick. Port Royal on Saturday. Logan Wagner got his second win in a row. Anthony Macri was running their second with him. That race was getting really exciting. Macri ran him down. Macri came from, I think, like 8th or 9th, and I think Logan started second or third, and he ran him down, and then they were getting in the lap traffic, and it was getting real dicey, and then there was a late caution with like 5 to go, and Logan was just able to run away with it. I was really hoping to see that go green the rest of the way, but it was cool to see some different faces there at Port because there's so many drivers going to Lincoln. Some decided to go to Port, like Jordan Gibler, who's usually a Lincoln regular. You also had Cody Lehman, who doesn't usually show up. Cassidy Kreitz, second 410 race, was hard charger and ended up finishing 14th, gaining 10 spots. It was good to see her out there on her second race. She's really turning some heads a little bit. I think her time down in the 305 series is paying off here in the 410s. Going from dirt here, we're going to go to more open wheel action on the asphalt. We're going to talk a little IndyCar here because Jimmy Johnson fractured his hand in practice at Long Beach. He had 2 wrecks in practice fractured his hand, and then had another wreck in the race towards the end. He's really struggling in the IndyCar, man. I mean, it's I don't know if it's him. I mean, there's obviously some adapting to do. It's coming off of his strongest finish in the IndyCar series. He had a 6th place finish on the oval at Texas. And then getting to a street course was just, he was okay, but, and toughed it out through the fractured hand, but unfortunately got into a wreck at the end. Joseph Newgarden ended up getting the win over Romain Grosjean, the Formula F1 driver for Haas. I was watching that race. Grosjean, sorry, I didn't even say his name right, was really on the bumper, right on the rear wing, whatever, of Joseph Newgarden. And but he ran out of the push to pass seconds, and then there was a late caution that really kind of hurt him. But it was good to see him up there. I was hoping to see him win. But Jimmy Johnson, though, I mean,
Did you see
fractured hand.
Did you see the video of they brought in a team to build a carbon fiber brace that it would help him grip the steering wheel? And they put a
Really?
video of showed them like making the carbon fiber. They're individual pieces, about that big, and they built a brace to help him grip the steering wheel. But it was pretty
Interesting.
neat. But obviously, it didn't fare too well for him.
I think he's really looking forward to. He's going to do whatever it takes to make sure he runs the Indy 500.
Hmm.
I think that's something
Right.
he's looking forward to this year. I did notice. I think I saw one of his social media posts where he was behind his iRacing rig, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be there for Indy and all that." So it doesn't sound like he's going to miss any time, but
Right.
and
So
toughed it through the race.
he had surgery, and outpatient surgery today. He's gonna be cleared May 9th when they get to Indy. So good for him.
Yeah. I hope that works out well for him, and he's going to be all right. It just kind of sucks seeing him struggle so much when he gets to. I mean, I think he's a guy in the Indy 500 that could sneak up on some people, considering how well he ran at Texas and
How
how
well
he's
ran
ran
Indy.
at Indy in NASCAR. You know what I mean? So
It'd be huge if
Yeah.
he finds a way to win Indy. That'd be huge. But
even just run top 10, I think that would be big. I think that he would really turn a lot of heads. He's got a, Indy 500. You can't just make that race.
Right.
You got to go out and earn it. So just to make that race is something that
Right, for
would
sure.
be an accomplishment.
for sure,
Going to Formula One real quick. Australian Grand Prix. Very strange week. A very bad weekend for Aston Martin. They just had no luck. A lot of wrecks, wrecking in practice, wrecking in qualifying, wrecking in the race. But Charles Leclerc completely dominated that race, led from start to finish. Verstappen was running second, ended up having some issues right at the end. Gets his second DNF of the season. He's way back in the points now, although it's only third race in. A lot can happen, but 2 DNFs in a row does not look good. Mercedes gets a solid finish. They finished 3rd and 4th. George Russell finishing ahead of Lewis Hamilton, though. And then Albon for Williams, who he did not pit. He did not pit the entire race. Ran on the same set of tires until the last lap because by Formula One rules, you need to pit. Still grabs a P10. He was running P6 when he pitted. That was cool to see because Williams doesn't get points very much. Albon has been out of the series a little bit, and it's an encouraging finish for them. So going into some of our racing stuff then. Last night we had our Truck Series race for NSRL, which wasn't our finest moment. But Zach Michael, new member of the league,
First race.
coming in. First race, first win at Martinsville. Pretty wild. He was a very strong truck all night. Me personally, I was running second, about 15 to go. I was running up in the top 10 and got turned. Is what it is. It was a very wild race. It was very much like the Xfinity race, and probably worse than that was at Martinsville this week.
Yeah, it was a very long, rough race. We had 18 or 19 cautions,
Yeah.
200 lap race. We ran 101 of them under caution.
Oh my God, I didn't realize it was that bad.
I could tell you, I would not want to race control that thing. That would have
And
sucked.
God bless Josh Aaron here because he is our race control in the truck series, and he's the one that had to put up with all of the antics and all the craziness and
All the Martinsville.
yeah, all the Martinsville. He
all
had
of
to do
the
with
Denny
all the
Hamlin.
Martinsville.
Yeah, insert Denny Hamlin gif here.
Hey,
That's the short track.
let's not go too far down the track. I get to do it tomorrow night in the next gens, so
Oh, have fun.
can't wait.
There was a lot of let's just say tomfoolery going on, and some that the admin team of the league is addressing. So next time we have a 16 caution Martinsville race, hopefully it's just because it's Martinsville racing, not because of
Things.
dumbassery.
Right.
So
Dumbassery.
that's
tomorrow.
to put it lightly. And then tonight we had, before we recorded the podcast here, we had the Posse races, 410s at Williams Grove, and we also had the Posse After Dark trucks at Bristol Dirt. Both of those races won by Aiden Beerline. Dude is just nasty, man. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, the guy's a pro. You know,
he's literally a pro.
You carry a pro license, you run with that. I mean,
yeah, makes us all better because we're all striving to beat. And not all of us are very far off. There's guys giving them. Trevor Royer was giving them hell all night in both series, actually, right there.
Right.
So that was cool to see. And then tomorrow night, like you were saying, Chris, NSRL, we run Martinsville, next to last race before the Final Four.
Cut off race for the Final Four.
Race here.
I'm race control. Can't wait.
must win for me.
Must win.
Yeah, must win for Josh.
I'm winner out.
There's must win for quite a few people there. It's going to get interesting, I think. It's going to be fun to watch. Tune on in. You should go to nationalsimracing.com. You can check out Marty's Twitch. He broadcasts it for us, does a fantastic job. Check it out live tomorrow night around 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Or their Facebook page.
Or their Facebook
National
page,
Sim Racing League. On Facebook, yeah.
Check it out. And if not, go to turn2terribles.com and find the link. So let's talk a little bit about next week. There's a lot of stuff going on next week. Race season is really getting hot and heavy. I'm so excited. It was 70-some degrees here today in PA. Josh, I know you get 80-degree weather all the time, so up your ass. But for us today, it was like 75 degrees. It's getting to be racing weather, finally. No more Chris freezing his balls off on a aluminum grandstand anymore. It's going to start getting into racing season here. So next week, I could have swore all three of them were going there. All right, so trucks and Cup are going to Bristol Dirt, and you got trucks. I think are they Saturday night?
Mm-hmm.
They're Saturday night, but they run. I think they run the NASCAR heats Saturday afternoon.
Right. Well, let me check. Because I posted it somewhere. But no, I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay. I knew something like that.
Yep.
And then Cup on Easter Sunday night.
Yeah, 7 p.m. I think it is.
At 7 p.m. Should be interesting. Should be interesting to see these next gen cars. I know last week we were talking about a little bit if they were going to have the windshields.
Yeah.
And the diffuser in the Cup car. I don't think they're going to have the diffuser. I think they're going to do some different things there. They ran some tests without the windshield in there, trying to do like a net instead, but they have some safety concerns. So that probably won't happen this year. I think that hurts the racing, them having a windshield. No dirt car has a windshield. It takes away their visibility.
Some of those in-car cameras from last year, from like the driver's view, I mean, it was incredible how they were getting around there at all.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Especially in the truck series. The truck series was so tacky.
Yep.
And like 5 laps in there, it was just mudded over. You couldn't see anything. So I'm hoping that they change the track up a little bit this year. Hopefully it's a little bit different, and they can really work around that and put on a good show. I really think once they get the track slipped off a little bit, you have multiple grooves, and the drivers have a little bit more confidence in these cars. It's really going to put on a good show.
Are they doing anything to the front of the cars? Because I know last year that was such a huge problem too that they
with the grills.
Yeah,
not that I know.
I knew they were researching different things they could do and maybe doing some type of tear off grill. I didn't know if they figured
that can make sense. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that, but it would make sense for them to do something like that. And as long as the track's not too tacky, which again, them doing it in April is really a detriment to what the product that they're trying to put out. Because if they did it like end of May, where it's a little bit warmer out, the track can get dried out a little bit.
Yep.
I know it's a little dusty and that hurts, but you can combat that with the water truck. And it's a dirt track, man. You're going to get dirt in your beer. You're going to get dirt in your face. That's just how it goes. But when it's too tacky like that, it's just you're clogging up. You see it with real dirt cars. Like if it's too tacky, if it's too muddy, if it's too heavy, you're getting in the wheels, you're getting it all over the place, and they're having problems too. So just something that NASCAR's got to look at. But let's see how it works this week. I'm hoping, cross my fingers, it's a good show. I thought it was a decent show last year, but it could be better. I think it could be better racing.
I wasn't as looking forward to the Cup side of it, but then I saw the video that NASCAR posted of a car testing at Bristol and dirt.
It was so far off the track for one.
Those things just sound wicked.
Yes,
they were ripping it, and they were on the top, and I was like, okay, I'm excited. Yep.
Also, the fact that, they were up the track a little bit. Last year, we just saw a parade around the bottom of the track, and I'm hoping that the track looks off enough that they can get two grooves going, or even if they have a higher line, you have cars racing side by side at least. It's not just them bumping into each other on the bottom line like it's Martinsville. So I think that'll be key, how they prep the track and how it wears in. So I'm excited about that.
Yep.
Also, the World of Outlaws, they go to I-55 for a 2-day show, and there's always a lot of cars that go to that. That's one of the premier tracks, I think, on the schedule. Fun track to watch. Boring, tight track. Puts on great racing. We also have the All-Star Circuit of Champions. They're starting their points season. It's supposed to start this past weekend. Weather keeps delaying it. But a 2-day show at Atticus Speedway in Ohio that should really kick off the season. They're going to be coming here to PA then the week after, coming here 5 minutes down the road from me, Bloomsburg that following Thursday, and then that next day, 5 minutes down the road from Chris to Williams-Grove, and then also Port Royal next weekend. So they're going to be right in our backyard. Expect a lot of content from that. And another thing that's coming up dirt-wise, since it's very dirt-centric this week with NASCAR going to dirt, Kyle Larson has the late model challenge at Volunteer Speedway in Tennessee on Thursday night. You're going to have some NASCAR guys out there. I believe William Byron's racing it. I think Alex Bowman, maybe a few others. Clint Boyer is going to be coming in to commentate the race. And what Kyle Larson's trying to recreate here is the prelude to the dream, which was when at Eldora they had a light model race and they got you had Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, you had Danica Patrick back then, Casey Kane. You had all the big time drivers of the NASCAR Cup Series running in a late model at Eldora. And I think that's what Kyle Larson's trying to recreate. And it's a perfect lead up to the Bristol Dirt. So even though it's at a different track, I think it's
good timing.
Yeah, it's very good timing. And I really respect what he's doing there. I think it's a great idea. I think it's something a lot of us dirt and asphalt fans miss.
Clinton Boyer commentating. That's a good, that's going to help. The problem that I have is, a guy that doesn't watch a ton of dirt is even watching the races, the commentators, there's a lot of stuff they talk about that I don't know. Clint Boyer, right, I think, will probably do a good job of being in the middle ground.
Yeah, he'll be able to explain it a little bit.
But, right. He's used to doing it, on the NASCAR broadcast, so I think that'll be a neat venue.
Yeah. Is that Flow Racing?
I believe so. So that should be fun. And speaking of commentators, bringing this up back to Bristol Dirt, Darrell Waltrip's going to be in the booth
DW
with Clint Boyer, which is an insane combination in my head.
What did y'all think of last week? Well, Chris,
it was okay. Chad Knaus isn't bad. He's very knowledgeable.
I
just think he's boring.
I thought
I agree with
I'm not a
Jimmy.
fan of Chad Knaus, but I thought it was a really good mix because you got Clint. I like Clint Boyer, and Clint Boyer does a good job, and he kind of brings that DW energy to the booth.
Right.
Yeah, for
Agreed.
sure.
But Chad Knaus, being the scientist there,
Yeah,
I think it was the best mixer they've done so far.
that's a good point. I just there's something about Chad Knaus that just isn't exciting. But he is very smart, and I do appreciate his views and everything. It's just, and there's nothing that he does wrong. He does the broadcast very well. It's just, I think to you what you're saying, it does work to an extent, but they could use something a little. I thought him and Tony Stewart worked well together.
Yeah.
I do like having that crew chief in there. I think that's one thing that NASCAR
Put Larry McReynolds back in there.
But not just that, NASCAR and NBC does that because they have Steve Letarte. Even Steve Letarte is just kind of, he's a crew chief guy, and then you have him in there with Dale Jr. and Jeff Burke, and that works.
I agree. Like, what the Fox broadcast early 2000s with DW and Larry Mack was so exciting because he has all the science, but Larry also had the energy, right? Mm-hmm. Chad Knaus, I'm gonna sound biased here. I'm a Gordon guy. Screw the 48 car. like, I don't know. He's highly intelligent and he has a lot of great insight. I watched it back, but he doesn't have a voice. He doesn't make me want to. Like Larry Mack makes me want to be like, oh, these tires are wearing out. Like, Chad, that's like, oh, the thing here is this spring rubber, whatever it is. Like, oh, it's a me thing again.
I think also something that's going to be interesting is because it's going to this next gen car. You really need somebody who needs to understand that next gen car.
Yep.
You might have known how to set up the last two generations of cars, but doesn't mean you know shit about the next gen car.
They're going to be a lot more complicated. There's a lot more engineering in that rear end. If you look at tearaways of the last year's car compared to this year, it's night and day different.
100%.
I think that's why you haven't heard as much Larry Mack this year.
Because he doesn't really know.
As you've heard in the past.
If anything, they go to him just for pitch strategy, and when the last caution is going to come out, they don't really go to him on strategy stuff. So I also think that's part of the next gen car being a little bit more in the driver's hands than anything too, as well. But I love Larry Mack's energy. Wish they would have just kept him in the booth for a while, but they are definitely searching to try to get that Ying to the Clint Boyer Yang.
And they kind of tied a bow on all of that. Like Dale Jr. on the Doper Clear was talking about wanting to drive more. Like we go back to where we started the show at, where Martin was his thing. He's like, when I'm trying to broadcast, I can't do it the way I want to anymore because I don't know anything anymore. Like I go 1 weekend a year. Mm-hmm. So it kind of piggybacking on that same thing. It's like, it's interesting. These guys are like you said, they could fix everything, but this next gen, they never worked on it. Like Chad Knaus, he's what's his official title? He's not working on the car. He's telling them what to do, but he's not in the nuts and bolts of it. And
right.
But he's been around it. He was at. I think it was a very good thing when they did the Bowman Gray thing. They had all the they had Tony Stewart was there. They had Boyer.
Larry Mack was there.
Larry Mack. Chad Knaus was there. They had Dale Jr. Just because they knew they were going to need to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think more like that. And I guarantee you, when they do the Martinsville test, Boyer Jr., they're going to be driving cars during that test. Just to try to get
makes
more
sense.
of a feel.
Yeah.
And right with that, we talk about Danica. The number one feedback I was watching on Twitter, and that was that she was asking questions to the other broadcasters.
And they don't know.
Your job, Danica, is to know the answer, not you're asking them the answer.
They also don't know.
Right.
Nobody can give her the answer.
So the more exactly. So I think, I don't know. if you're a broadcaster, like Fox,
Everybody's looking for you to be the expert. You need
right?
to tell
Your
us.
job's to broadcast. You go do the homework. Like early 2000s, you had DW, Larry McReynolds, Mike Joy is phenomenal. Like those guys had the other stuff. Obviously, it's not relevant anymore. Like you gotta find those guys. And Cole Pern, someone get Cole Pern on their broadcast. Like that's the guy. Bringing that cat back in.
Well, and with Danica, I mean, it was just a lot of people complained, and I mean, I didn't like it either. Like everything she would do would reference, well, when I raced IndyCar, she couldn't even reference when she raced in NASCAR because
Right.
this is closer to an IndyCar than it is a NASCAR.
Yep.
But I mean, I don't think she should even have been in the booth because she just doesn't have the experience with this.
No, she doesn't got it.
Right, but she has the appeal to this. Like from a marketing side.
I don't agree with that.
But from the marketing
I want to
side,
hear her talk.
no, I mean, I don't have a really opinion, but like from the marketing side, right or wrong, she's got the marketing, like even still. So I don't know. I mean, I would rather my booth be people who are highly intelligent, like that know the rules, that know what's going on in the card. Like that's what I want. Danica's not that, but from a marketing side, I mean, I get it. I don't love it, but I get it.
I agree. It's to me though. I just think they're doing the right thing by trying people out, and they'll find somebody. And I think Chad Knaus probably was the best one so far. If it's not Tony Stewart, but Tony Stewart will do that full time. Chad Knaus really gives the other side to what Clit's going on about and all that. But in general, I mean, Fox's broadcast is just fell off. It's so cringy at times, especially in the pre-race stuff. Just makes them look like dorks, man. I don't know.
How many more times do you want to try to take Clint Boyer's money?
Oh my God, I'm sick of hearing. I get that as a
love.
Fox bet thing because they do the same thing with Terry Bradshaw in NFL. But it's just like even just like the pre-race thing, watching race day and stuff, and the corny ass skits that they do. It's just it's what like when they went to Auto Club, they were doing this dazed and confused thing, and they're making like Eric Jones and some of these other drivers read these lines. It's like, what are you doing now? What does this have to do with racing, man?
Yep.
Like, and it's just corny as hell, and you just don't get that with the NBC. NBC does it so well. You know, it's nice to see a person like them come out of their shell a little bit and try to bring a personality out of the drivers once in a while. But they go too far with it. They go all personality instead of talking about the racing.
So is the interviews at the end, doing them at the finish line instead of at Victory Lane, is that a Fox thing or is that a NASCAR thing?
That's a NASCAR thing, I think, now.
Oh, I think Fox and NBC had a huge part in it. Like, I get it. I don't know. I'm torn. I'm so deeply torn.
I'm so ready for Victory Lane to come back.
Right, but I like the energy when it's the right time. Like a Ross Chastain's first win.
Yeah, I'm fine with no Victory Lane. Give me the raw emotion out of the car.
Right. That I saw with Jimmy there. It's like in the right setting. Like how cool was it when Ricky Stenhouse Stenhouse won Daytona? He goes, it made no fucking sense.
Oh, it was talking about 1776 because he won.
We are the champs. Like,
yeah.
Bro, it doesn't make any sense. But it's so cool.
That type of stuff you don't get in Victory Lane. Also, when you do the Victory Lane, it takes them so long to get there that they end up interviewing second, third, fourth, and fifth before them, which I don't mind, but I rather that after the winner. I want to talk to the winner first.
Yeah, and the
you emphasize winning so much in NASCAR. You talk to the winner first.
And that's what you get. Championship, getting him as soon as he got out of the car. I mean, that was pretty special.
And not only that, you get a special because they're right there next to the fence with the fans and everything. It's a fan interaction thing, and it becomes a whole different thing instead of like a blocked off area in Victory Lane where only sponsor hats are being worn and shit like that. Like nobody wants to see that. Like, one thing that was kind of cool back about Victory Lane was like, oh, you would have like the goodies box on top and shit like that. And all that, but like
from a fan perspective, front stretch Victory Lane, A+, right?
Yeah, just do it in front. Stop doing Victory Lane in the middle of the track. Do Victory Lane right there.
do what they're doing now. Go to your victory lane, have your, sponsorship party down in there. We don't need to interview you a second time. That's weird.
No, absolutely
Like,
no, and I agree with
do
that.
your pictures and your celebration with your team. I get it.
Yes.
But the coolest thing is seeing those interactions on the front stretch that you literally just won the damn race. Like Larson's championship thing, or like it makes sense. You talk about like what we have Victory Lane, you have Gordon crying in '94 when he won it. That's not going to happen now. You have so much time where like, hey, stay in the car, bud. It's not time for you to come out.
Yeah.
That ruins it.
Yes.
Let those guys come out, say whatever the hell they want, and move on with it. It's awesome. We love it.
Yeah.
Your mind.
Instead of doing the victory lane in the infield, bring it out to the start finish line. Do it all right there. Yeah,
I'm pro start finish line for that. Don't even bring victory lane out. Just do the interview there, get that driver's emotion, and then do your victory lane pageantry in victory lane where we don't have to watch it. Let's go interview.
It's not going to change.
10th.
It's not going to change it because they're still going to just go and interview second, third, and fourth. But you're not interviewing second, third, and fourth and showing that before the guy gets to victory lane because you have to go through all the other shit.
Or just change it where we interview in the front stretch, show the videos of him in victory lane, and the interview 5th through 10th. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, we don't need to go that far.
Some of those guys, 10th place means a lot to some guys.
No, I get it.
And their sponsors, like the guy that wins, like, I don't know.
Half the time anymore when the race ends because the race runs so long.
Right. So
they're not even you're not even seeing interviews from anybody else. You're just seeing the winner.
Off.
Well, because the race runs so long.
We'll save that for next week.
We'll save it for next week. So that's going to do it for this very long episode of the Turn 2 Terribles podcast, episode 2 here. I want to thank you guys all for listening. We've been getting some great feedback from everybody, man. It's much appreciated. Shouts out to everybody. Shouts out to all our partners, Jeremy Zarfos Photography, the NSRL League, iRacing Pennsylvania Posse, RGI Media. Thank you all so much. And until next week, have a great one.
We out.
That was like 2 hours.
Second half of the show.
There's just a lot to talk about. We'll have to cut.